Hi, in this week's video I will be talking about the worst kind of advice that I've heard before, and this video is a bit more personal because there are tons of different bad advices circulating around, but these that I will be talking about, these were particularly impactful to me, or I think they are particularly useful to kind of recognize. And so therefore I've chose 3 of those that I think can benefit you also. So I will be focusing on 3 different advices that I think are not that good. But first of all, I would like to say maybe the worst kind of advice to start with is the unsolicited advice. So I think many of us sometimes fall on this trap of giving advice because you want to help and you want to give your perspective on things, but sometimes the person that we have in front of us really isn't looking for any advice. They are just looking to express what they're feeling and express what they're going through, and not really open to hear your perspective and how you can help. So it always helps if you have some advice to give, it always helps to ask if the person wants to hear it. That's kind of like rule number 1 of the advice etiquette. Going into the 3 bad advices that I would like to talk about in today's video. The number 1 would be an advice that I think is very much heard in some romantic context, when people say to each other, I hope that you never change. Well, I think this is a really bad advice because we are changing all the time, and it would be so unnatural if we wouldn't change all the time. I mean, everything around us is changing, and accepting that constant, permanent change is a fundamental part of maintaining a healthy mind, in the sense that we accept that what is today is not going to be tomorrow, for the good and for the bad. So we don't get attached to things, and we are much more flexible to accept life as it comes. So when you say, I hope you never change, that's really going against the natural order of things. And of course, the person should take that as a compliment, that you really like the person as it is, or that the person likes you as it is, depending on who is saying. But fundamentally, embracing change is a really, really important part of life. The second bad advice that I hear, and not only I hear it, but I also see it, I mean, people are making hats with it, is this idea of that you only live once. And actually, usually we take this, you only live once, usually it's for decisions that are not so positive for our lives. So usually it's, take that shot and, drink until you pass out, and, just take that risk and so on. And I'm all for taking risks when it comes to doing something outside of your comfort zone, and taking that risk of, doing something different and trying out things in life. I'm all for that. But when we think about you only live once, you think about maybe staying later in the bar and have that second drink, or that 5th drink. I don't see really that as a positive thing. To me, you only live once could also mean, go home and make some silent retreat so you can cleanse your mind of bad thoughts, or go to a yoga retreat so you can have your body flowing. What I mean is, you only live once. Yes, that can also mean that you should take extra care of yourself so that you can live this life that you're living in the best way. So not like wasting it in some kind of indulgence. That will not make this life better for you. Obviously, it depends on what happiness means to you. If happiness means to waste yourself at partying at night, that's one thing. But maybe life for you means more than that. Maybe life becomes more meaningful if you add a little bit of more purpose to it. Then you can feel more fulfilled. You don't feel just happy because you're a party person, but you feel also fulfilled because there's some kind of purpose in your life. And then there is this idea that, of course, our bodies really need nurturing. So the idea that you only live once could also be like on top of a vegetable stand to kind of like inspire you to eat more vegetables, for example. And the third advice that I don't think is that good, and I think it has been quite extensively talked about, or at least I've seen many things about it already, and particularly one that was very interesting for me, which was a talk by Elizabeth Gilbert. I will link it below. And it's the idea that you should follow your passion. That can create such a huge anxiety in yourself, because really, how do you know what is your passion? How do you know what you're passionate about just like that? I mean, some people do live from a very early age and they know that they love so much one certain thing, and for those people that is very easy. But for most of us, we might be interested in many things, we might be passionate about many things. So when you say follow your passion, either you think, but I have so many things to follow, which one should I choose? Or you think, but I don't have any passion really, so what's wrong with me? So a very good alternative to this advice would be follow your curiosity. I think that is a fantastic way for you to find your path, because usually our curiosity resides exactly in that which we find most interesting in life, and that's probably going to lead you to discovering your passion, or most likely your passions, because it's very likely that we can develop more than one passion. I mean, the world is such an interesting place, so there's a lot of things to be interested about. So yeah, these are the three advices that I wanted to talk about. These are the three things that I think we should spend some time like reshaping our thinking around. It has to do with, of course, the way that we live life, and that is my biggest interest. So I think reshaping the way that we look at life in regard to these things can be really helpful. Continuing on this idea of how we can look at life and what we can do with that perspective and with life itself, the only one that we have to live according to that other advice. Next week I will be talking about how you can change your life. I know it's a huge topic, but that's what I will be talking about in next week's video. So if you'd like to check that one, you can subscribe or just come back in a week. So see you then, and thank you for watching.